In COVID news, an independent FDA advisory committee is meeting right now to consider recommending authorization of Pfizer's shot for children aged 5 to 11. If the FDA and the CDC approve the inoculation, around 28 million kids could qualify to get it. Shots could start going into children's arms ahead of the holiday season. Meanwhile, Moderna says its vaccine is safe and effective for those aged 6 to 11. In a study of more than 4,700 participants, the company found a strong immune response with mild to moderate adverse effects. Dr. Dyan Hes joins us now to break down the latest developments. She is the founder of Gramercy Pediatrics. So, Dr. Hes, millions of children could become eligible for the vaccine, but because of their minor status, parents still have to approve the shot. So what kind of conversations are you recommending that parents have with their children about this? And are you finding that parents who already got the shot are still a little bit hesitant about getting their kids vaccinated?
You know, and I've said this before, I think my office practice population is very vaccine friendly. But that being said, you know, parents want their children to get back to normal is how I find. And I think being in New York City when we were on lockdown and it was the hardest for us with families because like during the peak of COVID, we couldn't leave our apartments because you didn't know if your child could go in an elevator. And, you know, if your child was going to get COVID, you just don't walk into your backyard when you live in a big city. So I think for our population, the need to get back to normalcy is dire. And we really want our kids to learn without masks, without having to have 10 days of quarantine every time they're exposed to somebody positive in their school. I mean, I don't know when the masks are going to be dropped, but I think if we can get to that herd immunity with 67% of the US population being vaccinated and, you know, 22% of our population is children, if we get these children vaccinated, there will be a lot less spread of COVID and a lot more safety for our children.
So we've been talking about the Pfizer shot for children. What about Moderna? Moderna released new data showing promising antibody response in children ages 6 to 11. What does it show about how kids in that age group are responding to the shot?
Well, I think overall we know that usually children respond much better to vaccines than adults because they have just a much stronger immune system. You know, and the problem with Moderna is not the vaccine. Moderna is just a much smaller company than Pfizer. And to produce these studies, you need a huge team of researchers and statisticians and analysts. So to bring these studies to fruition, it's a little bit harder for Moderna. They don't have that infrastructure. So they're always lagging a little behind. It doesn't mean the vaccine is not as effective. So it just takes them a longer time to bring it to you know, a peer-reviewed journal. And hopefully we'll see that data soon and we'll have two vaccines to give. But I am so excited right now. It's really, finally, children are being put into the equation.
Yeah, it is wonderful news for parents who've been concerned about that, Dr. Hes. Meanwhile, the FDA released some of its findings on the side effects for the Pfizer shot. What should parents be looking out for in their children once they're vaccinated? What should they be keeping an eye on?
It's really going to be the same thing like adults were. It's going to be headache, fatigue, fever. So we're just going to have to watch them. If they need to stay home from school the next day, we'll happily give a note because I'd much rather have somebody vaccinated. But remember that children also bounce back much better, whereas like other people, adults who might get a shingles vaccine might be sore or a flu vaccine. Our patients might have a low-grade fever and we give them Tylenol and then they just are running around and playing again. So I think, time will tell, but I'm not really nervous about side effects from the Pfizer vaccine. It's not one of my worries.
That's good to know. Dr. Dyan Hes, thank you.
Thank you.